Hello, and welcome to Midnight Tales, a space where everyone can immerse themselves in peace and enchantment before drifting off to sleep. Tonight, we'll explore another captivating story that invites calm and lightness, helping you rest and recharge. But first, let's take a moment to gently prepare our bodies and minds for a soothing, restorative night's sleep. Make yourself comfortable, and with each slow inhale and long exhale, allow any cares from the day to slip away. It's not always easy to detach from the hustle and mental overload, especially before bed. However, remember this: the less we worry about how quickly we'll fall asleep, the easier it is for our minds to release any tension. Let the rhythm of your breathing carry away lingering worries, and let the story you're about to hear guide you into deep relaxation. Now, close your eyes and allow the magical atmosphere to softly envelop you. Enjoy the story, and may you find peaceful, restful sleep here on Midnight Tales. Agra breathes the cool hush of dawn, the year 1640 unfolding under a quiet sky. Construction nears its end on the sublime edifice known as the Taj Mahal, the crown of the palace, commissioned by the Mughal sovereign, Emperor Khurram, a monument born of devotion for his departed consort, Arjumand, whose earthly remains found their repose here some years prior. Conceived as an eternal sanctuary for emperor and empress alike, its destiny transcends mere stone and mortar. Generations hence shall hail it as an unparalleled emblem of love, its legend woven from its ethereal beauty and the profound sentiment that spurred its creation. Before its gates you pause, the crisp air a welcome balm. Poised on the Yamuna's southern flank, the structure radiates a dazzling luminescence, a vision in white. Though the river itself remains unseen from this vantage, its murmuring passage whispers on the breeze, a distant rush punctuated by the delicate trills of awakening birds. This confluence of sound, water, wing song, crafts a serene morning hymn, deepening your gratitude for this early, solitary communion. Somewhere, adrift on the air, a man's voice lifts in morning prayer. Its resonant notes, carried softly, entwine with the river's sigh and the avian chorus. Closing your eyes, you surrender to the sound, at once profoundly calming and stirring to the soul. Beyond these walls, the city begins to stir. Cultivators trek towards their plots, pastoralists guide their flocks, and from unseen corners, roosters issue their sharp cries, calls echoing clearly in the pristine air. One day, this horizon will bristle with structures, but now only the Taj Mahal and a scattering of vibrant domes punctuate the vastness. Generous space unfurls between them, revealing an expanse of sky painted with the sunrise, streaks of ochre and orange harmonizing with the distant reds and blues of the domes. Agra, once the very heart of Khurram's dominion, still wears its majesty, though the capital shifted to Delhi 2 years past. The city flourished under the emperor's passion for artistry and structure. While the Taj may be the zenith of his patronage, numerous handsome red brick edifices also grace the landscape. Emperor Khurram, fourth ruler of the Mughal line, an empire formidable, stretching across the Indus Basin, encompassing much of India Afghanistan, and lands now known as Pakistan, presided over an era celebrated for its artistic flourishing. The Mughals, patrons of culture, wove threads of Persian life into the South Asian tapestry, bequeathing a rich legacy destined to endure. Here, this influence manifests most strikingly in architecture. The slender soaring towers, known as minarets, companions to mosques, are ubiquitous. Intricate carvings adorn countless surfaces. Rounded domes crown many edifices, including the marvel before you now. While this monument gleams with marble, lesser buildings often wore skins of vibrant tile, marble being a luxury beyond common reach. You glimpse such tiled facades winding through the city earlier, your path ultimately converging here at the threshold of this most renowned creation. Soon, the privilege will be yours to shadow the master builder, Ustad Isa Shirazi, as he surveys the final embellishments of this glorious undertaking. You traverse the expansive courtyard where Shirazi, the architect, conducts his assessment. A tall figure, bearded, turbaned, his expression is one of calm contemplation. He moves with measured steps, his gaze meticulous, absorbing every detail. Within years, he envisions this space transformed. A verdant garden bisected by a pool, its water the clearest blue, the reflecting pool. Trees will flank its edges, forming walls of living green. Not far ahead, Shirazi paces the ground designated for the pool, scrutinizing corners, ensuring readiness for the work to come. You follow, matching his deliberate pace, yet allowing yourself moments to absorb the grandeur surrounding you. The garden's intended design draws inspiration from the Islamic vision of paradise, quartered by 4 symbolic rivers flowing from a central source. Though the garden remains unplanted, you sense an inherent celestial quality already pervading the space. The Taj Mahal commands attention even from afar, yet standing within its precincts reveals a masterful orchestration. Everything converges, directing the eye, the very soul, towards the central mausoleum. The sight arrests the eye, holds it captive. White marble, ignited by the nascent sun, possesses a mesmerizing quality. The polished stone, tinged subtly with gray, glistens immaculately, appearing freshly quarried, pristine. Its source lies in a small Rajasthani town, famed for yielding the world's finest marble. Only the superlative naturally would suffice for the emperor's cherished Arjumand. Yet, the structure is not solely marble. Sandstone forms foundations in places, veiled by reinforcing marble plates, achieving a union of profound beauty and enduring strength. At the complex's heart rises the immense plinth, supporting the iconic central structure, crowned by its majestic, bulbous dome, the Onion Dome. Reaching over 70 meters towards the heavens, it cuts an imposing silhouette. 4 elegant minarets stand sentinel, detached from the main tomb. Viewed from the courtyard, they artfully frame the central dome, lending depth and amplifying the sense of grandeur. Their own rounded caps echo the primary dome on a smaller scale. The entire ensemble, a powerful testament to traditional Persian architectural principles. The central dome presents a surface of impossible smoothness, flawless in its execution. that such perfection could be wrought from rough, ponderous stone defies belief. Beneath your feet, the courtyard grass yields softly as you approach the monument, your steps slow, deliberate. Its beauty is almost too vast to encompass at once. The dome's sheer scale is dazzling, compelling you to imprint its image upon your memory forever. Your gaze catches steps flanking the main building. A few artisans linger there, perhaps sipping morning chai, taking sustenance before the day's intricate labor begins. Their charge, the carvings, the engravings, the calligraphy that adorn the interior. It is these embellishments you have come seeking, desiring to grasp the depth of artistry lavished upon this extraordinary place. Ustad Isa Shirazi halts before the principal structure's gateway, examining an element near the door, a portal unlike any you have witnessed, as magnificent as all else here. A colossal arch crowns it. The panels below are alive with complex floral motifs. You discern Arabic calligraphy, too, though only partially complete. Surely some of the artisans from the steps lend their skill here, you muse, struck by their refined craftsmanship. Leaning closer to the black lettering inlaid in the stone, you appreciate the fine engraving, the elegant flourishes, and swooping characters. This great gate, the Pishtak, leading into the mausoleum proper, is renowned for its primary inscription, a verse promising solace. O soul, thou art at rest. Return to the Lord at peace with him, and he at peace with you. Completed back in 1609, this inscription has graced the entrance for decades. Numerous verses from the Quran embellish the monument, befitting its fundamental purpose as a final, hallowed resting place. Floral patterns, abstract geometrics, and fluid, calligraphic lines dominate the decorative schemes throughout the Taj Mahal. In certain areas, the marble is inlaid with jet black jasper, a variety of quartz, creating striking contrasts. Inscriptions positioned higher on the walls are rendered larger, ingeniously scaled, so that observers gazing upward from ground level can still discern the lettering. Every minute detail, you realize, is intentional, born of meticulous forethought. You trail Shirazi as he proceeds towards the central chamber of the mausoleum. Nearing the entrance, the subtle sounds of artisans at work within the cavernous space reach you. The soft, rhythmic tapping of chisels and mallets, echoing against the marble. Periodically, a craftsman pauses. The tapping ceases as he blows away stone dust, inspects his progress. Then, satisfied, the delicate percussion resumes, filling the air. You move through the chamber at an unhurried pace, influenced by the steady cadence of their craft, attempting to fathom the immense dedication poured into this sanctuary. The vast dome observed from the courtyard now forms the ceiling above. Inside, the marble gleams with the same intensity as it did externally. Sunlight filters through windows, screened with intricate stone latticework, jalis, bathing the space in a warm, golden luminescence. Within these shafts of light, minuscule dust particles dance, suspended like fine sugar drifting through a sieve. Caught at the right angle, they shimmer, ephemeral as fairy dust. The windows themselves are marvels of intricacy, equal to the wall carvings and inscriptions. Hewn from massive stone blocks, their delicate, web-like appearance belies their origin. Thin strands of stone interlacing with breathtaking finesse. The filtered sunlight illuminates the surrounding marble walls, suffusing the chamber with an ethereal glow. Few have trod these floors. The building feels utterly new, immaculate, possessing the unique allure of a place scarcely visited. Ladders and scaffolding remnants linger here and there, but the bulk of construction apparatus has vanished. A worker sweeps the floor with a broom fashioned from bamboo, its swishing strokes whispering against the polished marble. Your attention returns to the architect, Shirazi. He now scrutinizes a section of the wall, partitioning this area from the inner sanctum. Curiosity piqued, you draw nearer. As you approach, you perceive a difference in these walls. Flanking the doorway to the innermost chamber are shallow alcoves recessed into the stone, gently curved and culminating in subtle points. You watch as the architect traces the edge of one alcove with a careful index finger, assessing the smoothness of the carving, determining if further sanding or refinement is needed. His profound sense of duty, his unwavering commitment to the Taj Mahal's perfection is palpable, mesmerizing. He has pursued absolute flawlessness with tireless dedication and continues to do so even now. Content with the alcoves, he shifts his focus to the ornamentation surrounding them. It's a vibrant tapestry of polychrome florals, linked by sinuous vines and creepers. Predominantly blue and yellow vines, intertwine with orange and green accents, touches of brown shading some petals. The patterns weave together with an elegance that seems a visual echo of lyrical Arabic verse. Moving closer still, you examine the minute details of these colorful forms. A startling realization dawns. These are not paintings. The wall before you showcases pietra dura, a masterful art form. Using this technique, precisely cut, colored stones are inlaid into a base stone, creating visuals that, from a distance, mimic painting. Close inspection reveals the seams where the colored stones meet the marble canvas. Such work must demand immense reserves of time and patience. You reflect. You picture a devoted artisan, brow furrowed in concentration, meticulously setting each tiny stone, then stepping back to appraise the effect. Almost instinctively, you step back yourself, trying to see what that artisan saw. The illusion is striking. The plants seem rendered by a painter's brush. Being new, their colors possess a startling vibrancy and brightness. In a way, they foreshadow the living flora, soon to grace the gardens outside. Glancing across the chamber, you observe Shirazi, now overseeing a carver at work. An older man, perhaps in his 60s, meticulously coaxes patterns from the wall. With deft taps of his sharp chisel and small hammer, he conjures forms resembling flowers and leaves. From the stony, unyielding surface, something delicate and magical emerges. The design, perhaps halfway realized, suggests a lily, or maybe a daffodil taking shape. The architect watches intently, as the slow, deliberate chipping refines the magnificent stone. The embossed elements of the plant slowly gain dimension, coming to life. You contemplate the juxtaposition, the soft suggestion of flora against the hard, immutable stone. Beauty, it seems, resides inherently in the material, awaiting only the artist's patient hand to reveal it, stroke by gradual stroke. Once Shirasi approves the carver's progress, he turns towards the innermost chamber. Here lies the cenotaph of the queen, Arjumand Mahal, interred just a few years ago. This is a sacred, solemn space. Entering the room, you are enveloped by an atmosphere of profound serenity and calm. The cenotaph rests at the center of the circular chamber, enclosed by an octagonal marble screen featuring the same intricate latticework seen in the windows, yet denser, the aperture smaller. Approaching, you discern that the gaps, visible from afar, are actually formed by exquisitely interlinked floral carvings, stalks and tiny leaves spaced with perfect symmetry. A truly marvelous work of art, you think. Its intricacy speaks volumes of the bond between the emperor and his wife, compelling him to erect such breathtaking beauty in her memory. The tomb itself embodies grace and elegance. Exquisite Arabic calligraphy adorns its surface, the 99 names of God as enumerated in the Quran. Though the precise meaning of each inscription eludes you, you find yourself gazing at the black lettering, captivated by the looping, slanted script. Sunlight filters into this chamber too, but here it glows a deeper shade of orange than in the previous room. Perhaps it's the angle of entry, or simply that the day has advanced. This warmer light illuminates the elaborate patterns inlaid upon the floor. Before long, you notice Ustad Isa Shirasi preparing to depart. You follow as he traverses a corridor flanked on one side by massive windows, again screened with a delicate jali pattern. Your footsteps echo softly against the stone walls as you walk. Shirasi is heading towards the rear of the Taj Mahal, intending to inspect the flanking structures, a mosque and a guest house still under construction. Should you follow? Curiosity tugs, a desire to see these complementary buildings rising. Mulling this over, you arrive at the open platform at the back. Here, behind the main mausoleum, unfolds a sublime vista of the Yamuna River. You pause, compelled to absorb it all, while Shirasi continues onward. There is little for him to inspect here. The section is complete, but you wish to linger. The other buildings can wait. Standing at the platform's edge, you inhale deeply. It is later in the morning now, yet the air retains its cool freshness. The sun, not yet high, offers a gentle warmth just beginning to assert itself. It's a comforting heat, instilling a sense of quiet contentment. You touch the marble balustrade, running your fingers across its surface. It feels remarkably smooth, cool against your skin. As you stroke the polished stone, your thoughts drift to the genesis of this place, to the countless individuals who poured their time and skill into realizing Khurram's vision. Your gaze settles on the Yamuna River, thoughts meandering. The Taj Mahal possesses an intrinsic magnificence, undeniably, but the presence of the river, its sight, its sound, adds another layer, another dimension to the experience. The water flows clear and pristine along its wide bank. Down by the edge, a pair of horses drinks before wandering on. It would be easy, you feel, to spend hours right here, simply watching the river glide by, allowing your mind to revisit the wonders witnessed within these walls. There will be more to see, more to do later, but for this moment, you are utterly content. This day, will remain etched in your memory, indelible. It feels as though the Taj Mahal has become a part of you. Tonight, your dreams will likely be filled with visions of vibrant vines against white marble, underscored by the clear, fresh murmur of the river. You sense the love permeating every carving, every design element. Like countless visitors before, and countless more to come, you have been utterly mesmerized by the grandeur of the Taj Mahal. You will carry the thought of this place for days, filled with gratitude for inhabiting a world capable of such profound beauty. December the 13th dawned in profound darkness, yet Ilara surfaced from sleep effortlessly, the world outside her frosted window pane still swallowed by a night as deep as pitch. She slipped from the embrace of her bed, smoothing the plump, feather-stuffed eiderdown over the mattress, before coaxing her bare feet into woolen slippers, lined with the softest sheepskin. A deep inhalation drew in the house's warm breath, saffron's golden thread, the dark sweetness of raisins, the comforting rise of baking dough, the robust promise of brewing coffee. Ilara descended the staircase, each footfall a whisper, artfully sidestepping the groaning board that betrayed secrets to sleeping ears, seeking the kitchen's glow without disturbing her grandmother or sister. More was already a presence of quiet industry. As Ilara entered the brightly painted kitchen, a tray laden with fresh lussicatter, saffron buns gleaming like captured sunlight, studded with plump raisins, emerged from the oven's heat, its steam momentarily clouding the window panes. Over the stove stood Far, coaxing a potent brew from dark grounds, his ritual before facing the forge's fiery demands. In a cradle nestled in the corner, baby Kale offered soft, contented gurgles to the morning. A bundle of birch twigs lay expectantly across the kitchen table, beside the Advent wreath's patient circle. A paper star, a fragile promise, hung sentinel in the window. Christmas whispered just beyond the horizon. Both Moore and Far turned, their smiles blooming as Ilara appeared. Today held a special resonance for all of Vastiana, indeed for all of Sweden, yet for Ilara it shimmered with a unique significance. Today she carried the honor of embodying St. Lucia in the evening's luminous parade. More materialized in the kitchen doorway, her own smile mirroring theirs. She offered Ilara a gentle ruffle of her fair hair before settling near the ceramic stove, a bastion of cozy warmth radiating from its corner. Last to brave the descent was Freya, Ilara's younger sister. She lingered in the doorway, sleep still tousling her hair, clutching the familiar comfort of her red-painted wooden horse. Her eyes widened, taking in the assembled family, the realization dawning. She was the final one awake. On St. Lucia's morn, the tardiest riser earned the playful title, Lucy the Loose, accompanied by a light, ceremonial tap from the birch twigs. A giggle escaped Freya. She was the morning's Lucy. Moore, already laughing, reached for the bundled twigs. Freya darted around the kitchen table. A brief, joyful chase, ending with Moore catching her, tapping her legs gently with the branches before enveloping her in a warm hug. Then, united, the family gathered for the day's special breakfast. The lucicatter yielded, buttery and golden. Saffron's delicate spice danced on Alara's tongue. She tore a tiny scrap, offering it to little Kyle. Not yet a year old, this would be his inaugural Lucia Day. More, having witnessed nearly 80 such dawns, often recounted how, on her own 13th Lucia Day, she too had been chosen to lead the procession. Freya, her saffron bun dispatched, voiced the perennial question, why this day for Saint Lucia? Alara, her mind filled with lessons learned, began the tale. Saint Lucia, a young woman near Ilara's own age, resided long ago in Siracusa, a sun-drenched Sicilian city, cradled by the distant, brilliant blue Mediterranean. Hers was an era devoid of streetlights, oil lamps, certainly electricity. In those ancient Italian days, professing Christianity courted grave danger. Seeking refuge from persecution, devout souls hid within the catacombs, a labyrinth of tunnels snaking beneath the city streets. Safety was theirs, though sustenance often proved scarce. Lucia, possessed of a compassionate heart, could not abide the thought of their hunger and thirst. Filling her apron and pockets with provisions, she ventured into the catacombs under night's cloak. Her hands needed to be free to distribute the food, precluding the carrying of a candle through the profound darkness. Instead, atop her head, she wore a wreath woven from fragrant laurel leaves, into which she fixed 4 candles. Their combined light carved a path through the subterranean gloom. This, Alara concluded, was why, each December 13th across Scandinavia, Lucia's benevolence was remembered through grand processions, led by a young woman representing Lucia herself, crowned with light. Freya remained inquisitive. Why December 13th specifically? Not spring? Not summer? Alara couldn't suppress a laugh. Summer was unthinkable for Lucia's day. Summer belonged to midsummer's revelry. Picnics under the midnight sun, dances around maypoles adorned with blossoms. Yet, pondering further, she admitted uncertainty about the timing. Deep within winter's darkest heart. In bygone times, Mormor explained, her voice imbued with memory, these long December days tested the people of Sweden profoundly. The cold bit fiercely, and in lean harvest years, food grew scarce. Some superstitious folk even whispered of malevolent spirits roaming the midwinter nights. Hence the profound need for light. Light banishes shadows and fear. Light offers solace. Even amidst hunger, a night of merry, candlelit song and dance could momentarily silence rumbling stomachs. Soon, Mormor continued, the year would pivot. The oppressive nights would slowly relinquish their grip. But for these few nights, darkness held Sweden fast, making this the chosen time to celebrate St. Lucia's feast. Alara. Mormor finished, her gaze steady. You have a vital task tonight. You must bring cheer and warmth. illuminating the year's deepest dark. But first, Moore reminded them with gentle practicality, came school. Bundled in their warmest attire, Alara and Freya strapped heavy snowshoes to their boots and stepped into the winter morning. Darkness still reigned, though the sky reluctantly yielded to a pale, bruised gray. Relief washed over Alara upon reaching the welcoming red wooden schoolhouse and crossing into its warmth. Today, the school pulsed with festive energy. Alara's classroom blackboard displayed the usual serious pronouncements, grammatical rules, the formula for a triangle's perimeter. Yet no one, not even their teacher, Fru Lindgren, paid them heed. Today was wholly dedicated to preparing for the evening's procession. Every hand was busy crafting costume elements. Alara began weaving her crown, using pliable branches from the lingonberry bush thriving in the schoolyard. Lucia's wreath was traditionally fashioned from lingonberry, its evergreen nature, leaves clinging fast even in winter's depths, symbolizing spring, hope, the promise of renewal. As the Alara worked, sap made her fingers sticky, and crushed leaves released a sharp, verdant perfume, evoking thoughts of impending spring days. Fields dotted with unsteady lamps, forget-me-nots unfurling their blue gaze. Around her, classmates labored diligently. Girls painted candle holders. They too would walk in white dresses, each bearing a single flame behind their Lucia. Boys affixed paper stars to slender wands, preparing to become star boys, complete with tall, star-emblazoned paper hats. Outside, younger children darted about in costume, some transformed into tomtennisar, Santa's elves, sporting pointed red hats and ears. Midday brought a fleeting solar appearance, a silvery disk veiled by clouds, vastly different from the blazing golden orb of Midsummer's Eve. Its light, thin and cool, nonetheless made the thick snow blanketing the village glitter and sparkle. By school's end, however, the sun had already dipped low. Complete darkness had reclaimed the world by the time Alara and Freya reached home. But their small cottage kitchen glowed, warm and bright. Moore had spent the day immersed in baking. To honor the sustenance Lucia carried into the catacombs, tradition dictated a feast of delicious, warming treats. She looked up, flour dusting her apron as the sisters entered, just in time. Extra hands were needed to roll out the dough for pepper kakor, the crisp, spiced gingerbread biscuits savored after the procession. Handing Alara a rolling pin, they worked together, coaxing the fragrant dough into a thin, even sheet that spanned the kitchen table. Then came Freya's turn, entrusted with a star-shaped cutter. Brow furrowed in concentration, she meticulously pressed out cookie after cookie, arranging them on a baking tray. With the pepper kakor consigned to the oven's heat, Freya took up a wooden spoon, diligently stirring meatballs, simmering in creamy gravy on the stove. Meanwhile, Alara and Moore tackled the vetekrans. The dough, having risen patiently all day in a warm corner, was gently stretched, their fingers coaxing it into a thin sheet. Methodically, they brushed it with butter. dusted it with sugar and scattered fragrant cinnamon and cardamom across its surface. Rolling the dough tightly, they joined the ends to form a ring. Moore's sharp knife made neat slices partway through. Then she twisted and pulled sections away from the center, transforming the ring into an ornate, edible crown. The ginger snaps emerged, fragrant and perfect, making way for the pastry crown. Alara blew on a warm snap to cool it before nibbling its buttery, crumbly edge. Delicious. Through the window, the sky deepened into velvety blackness. Stars emerged one by one, silver pinpricks piercing the night's heavy fabric. The wall clock indicated 6:30. It was time. Baby Kyle was swaddled warmly in woolen layers, sheepskin mittens, and slippers. Freya donned her best wool coat, her pointed red elf hat held ready. Alara splashed her face at the basin, scrubbed behind her ears with soap, and brushed her hair until it gleamed. Carefully, reverently, she slipped into the pristine white gown Moore had sewn over weeks. Never had she worn such a beautiful garment. Tiny, pearly buttons marched down the front. Intricate white embroidery of leaves and flowers adorned the hem and sleeves. Moore helped tie a crimson sash snugly around her waist. The procession commenced at the schoolhouse, destined to wind through the town's narrow cobblestone lanes, culminating at the town hall. The classroom buzzed, crowded with children adjusting pointed ears or star-topped hats. The girls of Alara's class stood ready in white, but only Ilara wore the distinguishing rayed sash. Amidst the movement and chatter, a hush descended as the clock struck 7. Fru Lindgren raised her hand. The moment was upon them. Alara's stomach fluttered, a blend of exhilaration at the honor and a tremor of nerves. Would her head stay steady beneath the wreath's weight? Would she stumble on the icy cobbles? Would the words of the Special San Lucia song desert her? She whispered the melody under her breath. Natten går tunga fjät, rund gård och stuva. Kring jord som sol förlät, skuggorna ruva. Då i vårt mörka hus stiger med tända ljus. Sankta Lucia, Sankta Lucia. Fru Lindgren carefully secured the lingonberry wreath in Ilira's hair. It felt substantial, but manageable. Strategically placed pins ensured it remained steady, even as Ilara tested it with slight turns of her head. With the strike of a match, Fru Lindgren ignited the candles, crowning Ilara's wreath. The other children gathered silently behind her, quiet as field mice. Ilara offered a small, brave smile and stepped through the school door, leading the procession across the snow-covered yard and into the waiting streets of Vastiana. At the schoolhouse gate, Ilara permitted herself one swift glance backward. She saw the dark silhouette of the school against the deeper darkness of the forested hills beyond the village edge. She saw the school garden blanketed in profound snow, and she saw her classmates, spectral in white, illuminated by the golden halo of their candles. A true smile touched her lips as she pushed open the gate and descended into the town. Both sides of the street thronged with villagers. Their faces were indistinct blurs in the dimness, but their voices rose in unified song. The clear, high notes of the women, the deep resonance of the men, the reedy counterpoint of children too small to march. Alara focused on maintaining an even pace, not so fast that the procession felt fleeting, nor so slow as to falter. As she walked, her thoughts drifted to Mormor, treading this very path decades ago. She pictured Vastiana in those older times. How interminably long and dark the winter nights must have seemed before ubiquitous lamps. How precious this candlelit procession must have felt. Her mind journeyed further to young Lucia in Syracusa, her small lights piercing the catacombs' ancient dark. By the time the town hall emerged into view, the familiar carols had faded. Only the Lucia Day song remained. Alara sang it now, her voice clear and strong, rising into the night sky, echoing over rooftops and towards the distant hills. With the uplifting song and the myriad twinkling candles, Alara mused. The night seemed less oppressive, less dark after all. The procession concluded. The great doors of the town hall swung open, welcoming everyone inside. Alara entered, her cheeks and fingertips flushed pink from the cold. Inside, long tables groaned under the weight of festive fare. Buns, biscuits, pastries, smoked fish, new potatoes, coffee fragrant with cardamom, and large vats steaming with hot glögg. The special mulled wine simmered for hours with spices, raisins, and almonds. Too young for glögg, Alara warmed herself with a mug of spiced apple cider and a generous slice of Moore's Vettekruns. Everyone sought her out, from the mayor himself to neighbors and teachers, the women from her mother's sewing circle, the men who worked alongside her father at the smithy. Each offered praise, declaring what a wonderful Lucia she had made. Once appetites were sated, tables were cleared, making way for the band. To the lively strains of fiddle and accordion, the villagers took to the floor. Swirling in waltzes and polkas, Alara danced too, once around the room with Far, twice with her cousin Sven, and once, just for merriment, she waltzed with Freya. As the adults continued their dancing, weariness began to claim Alara. Finding an empty chair, she curled up, watching. Older couples moving in comfortable silence, younger pairs alongside them exchanging shy smiles. Far tapped his foot rhythmically. More gently rocked baby Kyle, fast asleep in her shawl. In honor of Lucia, some villagers would keep vigil all night, dancing, singing, eating, drinking, sharing stories until dawn broke. But not Alara. At midnight, unable to stifle her yawns any longer, Moore and Far guided her home. There, changed into a fresh, clean nightgown, she climbed into bed. She listened to the familiar sounds of the house settling around her, Freya shifting beside her, Mormor tucking little Kyle into his cradle, Moore and Far murmuring in hushed conversation downstairs. Gradually, the sound softened, faded, until stillness enveloped everything. Sleep had claimed the others. Alara, too, felt exhaustion's pull. Her eyelids were heavy anchors, yet she resisted sleep's final surrender for a few moments longer. She wanted to lie there, cocooned in warmth and comfort, etching every magical detail of the evening onto her memory. The snow-laden streets, the resonant singing, the delicious aromas drifting from the town hall, the transformative cheer and warmth cast by hundreds of candles against the vast winter dark. The year's longest nights now held the village in their grasp, but soon, incrementally, imperceptibly at first, the darkness would begin its retreat. The days would lengthen, brighten. With each visit, the sun would linger a little longer. Soon, the snow would yield, and spring would arrive in a rush of green. Finally, summer would return with its long, languid days. Alara lay back against her pillow, her thoughts filled with warmth and sunshine, and drifted into sleep.